We're doing a new training split. We're going to do a different kind of workout and all this. We all know that is not how he's going to get bigger. And so how is he actually going to get bigger? Well, first up, we're going to get some burgers and we're going to describe the cycle, the steroids, the PEDs we're going to be using. Coach Greg, and in today's video, Anthony Mantello decided to get fat. He's bulking up to get this, 230 pounds. And not only that, he's going over his cycle that he's going to use to get up to this weight, and he's going to do so in 8 to 12 weeks. And so why is he doing this? Why do you think? The standards for the size for men's physique, the board shorts division, it's gotten out of hand. Guys who are competing in men's physique are literally the size of bodybuilders. Men's physique is simply bodybuilders with very small waists who have great aesthetics and are wearing board shorts. And do I agree with this? Absolutely not. My personal preference is Anthony Mantello has plenty of muscle. He shouldn't need to get an ounce bigger. He already looks like a pro to me. He shouldn't have to get bigger. But the standards, they keep raising the bar, and so he has no choice. If he were to stay natural or not up the doses, he wouldn't have the size he needs to compete and get his pro card. And so the end result, well, he's going to bulk up, eat a ton of calories. He says, I'm going to lose the shreds for the first time, go up to 230 pounds as I prepare for my assault on a pro card.
Because we're going to talk over the new training split, which we just started. We're going to discuss what the last training split was, how that grew my physique, how we're growing my physique for the next 3 months, our approach.
And so he mentions we're doing a new training split. We're going to do a different kind of workout and all this. We all know that is not how he's going to get bigger. And so how is he actually going to get bigger? Well, first up, we're going to get some burgers and we're going to describe the cycle, the steroids, the PEDs we're going to be using. And so I think by 2023, people know they're not getting pro cards based on how you twist your arm at the top of a set or how many reps you're doing or how much you're resting between sets or how many sets, volume, rest between sets and so on. It's coming down to the ups and how much of it you're actually taking. And so do I think he needs to get up to 230? Absolutely not. He doesn't have to get sloppy in the off season to lose his abs, to bulk up beyond 15% to put on muscle. But he's lived his entire life shredded, and so perhaps he just wants to try something different. But listen, IFBB pros such as Derek Lunsford or Nick Walker, all the best guys in the world, they're not getting fat in the offseason. And so technically, you don't need to eat big to get big. Of course you can do it. You can bulk up, you can force feed all that. But if you eat too much, it's not going to help you to put on muscle. What it's going to do, it's going to make it harder to diet.
So first off, we're going to get some burgers.
And so first up, let's go get some burgers. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you shouldn't be eating to the point where you have to throw up. Anthony Mantello quite literally saying, yes, I often was throwing up from having to eat so much food. That is not good. It's not healthy. Remember, a guy who was having a hard time swallowing his food was throwing up very often. Cedric McMillan, rest in peace. He was often throwing up, had a hard time keeping food down. Another guy who recently retired, Flex Lewis, he was having a hard time eating, often wanting to throw up after each meal. And so if you're eating to the point where you can't keep the food down, you're sick to your stomach, this is not good. Time to go and check with your doctor. It's okay to have a burger every now and then. You're going out, perhaps it's a cheat meal, but it shouldn't be a staple in your diet. You shouldn't have to eat burgers all the time to get an appropriate amount of calories. And really, you can eat burgers at home. You can make them healthy. Burgers don't have to be unhealthy. You can cook a burger at home, enjoy it, eat it. If you want to eat out on occasion, nothing wrong with that. But remember, if you're throwing up your meals because you can't keep your food down, it's a problem. It's not good.
We're going to go over our training programs going into phase 2 this offseason. We're going to explain it to everyone here. So Kyle, take it away.
And so I'm not saying that it's not important to work out all the exercises, have a proper training program, but what I am saying is that these details are going to make up a small difference in your overall transformation. The reality is, at Anthony's level, trying to turn pro, it comes down to what supplements are you going to take and at what doses. And so to gain 10 pounds or more muscle in a year after you've gone through your newbie gains, you've been training 5+ years in the gym, it's not going to happen unless, of course, you have amazing genetics and you have enhanced supplementation.
If he can accept more food, he's still hungry, which is a great cue that people should look for. You always want to be hungry a little bit. You don't want to be sitting there force feeding and stirring your food, throwing up. things like that.
And so he says you should be hungry. You shouldn't be force feeding or throwing up. And he looks over at Anthony with a little smile because he's clearly done that in the past. Anthony, he wants to be 230, but his coach is saying we're going to add in a little bit extra calories, perhaps go up 5 pounds in body weight and stop, hold it and see what happens. And so his coach, he's making sense. You don't just force feed yourself and say, I want to weigh 230 and eat until you get there at all costs. The smart person listens to their appetite, slowly puts on weight, makes sure they don't get too much body fat, and then takes it from there, all the while monitoring their health, of which he's going to do so. He's going to get regular blood work to ensure that while he's on the super supplements, that his health is still in order. And that when he's off, he also continues to be healthy. Some people, they only get blood work when they're off, when they're not taking anything, and if their blood work looks good, then, well, they decide to blast. But how do you know what's happening on the blast if you don't, in fact, get your blood work during that time? And so please, if you are using supplements with the advice and consent of your doctor and you're not breaking the law, make sure you're getting tested while you're taking these things to see the actual damage being done. At that point, you can decide with your doctor, is it worth it? Should you change things? Are you taking too much?
When I first started this Mass Monster plan, dude, I was like getting 6 meals in a day. I was throwing up like crazy. Like once a day, I couldn't even eat food. It was awful.
Think of it. He was eating 6 meals a day and throwing up like crazy. It's not good. It's not healthy. Shouldn't happen. If this is happening, you need to rework your plan. It's not worth it.
What steroids am I taking?
And so what everyone wants to know, what steroids is he actually taking? And in the past, he was reluctant to share this. He wasn't trying to hide anything, but he didn't want a young, impressionable audience to listen to what he's doing. But the guy's getting older, his audience is growing, and so he felt it's better to share with people what I'm actually doing in the real world. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to be a fake natty. I'm not hiding anything. And so this is what I'm taking.
Who told you to take steroids?
Well, myself. Because you make my own choices. My body, my choice.
This is not his coach telling him to take these things. It's his own choice. What he decides to put in his own body, that's up to him and, of course, his doctor. And I iterate, never break the law, only take things that are legal and, of course, with the advice and consent from your doctor.
For the next phase, for these next 8 weeks, we obviously want to look to put on a good amount of tissue.
And so for the next 8 weeks in this phase, they're trying to put on as much muscle as possible. So obviously, they're adding in more of the super supplements and at higher doses. But what supplements exactly is he going to take?
First summer, I will not be shredded.
That's true.
And so for Anthony states, this is the first time I'm not going to be shredded. Remember, since he was a teenager, the guy's always been very lean. And when you're always lean, it's often difficult to allow your body fat percentage to go up.
You okay?
Yes, because I have a girlfriend.
Is that really why?
But let's think of it. And Anthony, he's an open book. He's very honest. If Anthony were single and trying to attract a mate, would it not make sense that he would want to be leaner than if he's already in a committed relationship where the girl understands, hey, I know you have this goal. I know you want to turn pro. I know you have to increase body weight, not be as lean. And so because he's in a committed relationship with an understanding girlfriend, he feels it's okay. But for many people who are single or perhaps they're insecure, they don't have great self-esteem, they're often striving for single-digit body fat. They're trying to fit in. They're trying to look good to attract a mate. This is what I can tell you. You don't need to be shredded to look good to attract a girl. For the most part, girls don't even like or want the shredded bodybuilder. The girls were presented with Chris Bumstead, 4-time Mr. Olympia. Rate him on a scale of 1 to 10. A 0, a -2. They're then showing Chris Bumstead in the offseason, perhaps 10, maybe 12% body fat. Wow, dad bod looks amazing. And so clearly it's not a dad bod, but they must prefer a more normal level of body fat. And so you don't need single-digit body fat to attract a girl. And so stop striving for single-digit body fat, 15% perfectly healthy. And if you really want to maximize your aesthetics, 10 to 12% more than lean enough.
But you're sick in the head.
Probably shouldn't have said that, but
Really?
anyway.
Wait. Is that actually wrong?
I mean, he's not sick in the head. He's just being honest. He's saying what he actually thinks and what he believes, and I do agree with him.
So then why'd you ask if it's known?
Wait, because your goal should matter more than a girl.
Can we not have both? Can you not have a girl to win a pro card and have a girlfriend? Is there anything wrong with that?
So yes, we will get blood work despite being on cycle currently, because that doesn't justify what happens on all the other weeks that go by when you're on something.
This is the proper way to do it. You don't just haphazardly take a bunch of stuff and hope for the best and have a certain goal weight. You have to keep your health as a priority, make sure that you're making gains, but doing so in a healthy fashion.
We'll take some testosterone. Typically, we switch esters every 8 weeks. We'll use cypionate. Sometimes we use a blend like sustanon.
And so I'd like to respond to this part where they're talking about testosterone. There is absolutely no benefit, as in zero benefit, as in no reason whatsoever to switch esters. You're not suddenly going to increase your gains by switching from ent to sip to sus and so on. It's not the ester that you're taking that matters. It's how much are you actually taking.
We'll throw in some Deca. We'll throw in an oral, something like that, and we'll most likely, pending how you are looking.
I will say here, I've never taken D-ball before.
And so he's going to be taking testosterone, Deca, which he's done in the past, as well as D-ball. And D-ball, he's taking that for the first time. That is going to cause a dramatic amount of water retention. He's going to get much fuller, much bigger, but he's not going to look as lean. And so you might, in fact, think he looks fat as he goes up in weight, but trust me, it's going to be a lot of water. And even if he gets to 230 pounds, it's likely not going to be a lot of fat. It will, in fact, be a lot of water. Once you go off of Deca, testosterone, and D-ball, which dramatically hold fluids, you're going to lose a ton of body weight. And oftentimes people take these products, they may in fact gain 20 pounds in one cycle, but once you stop the cycle, you get off of these anabolics that are dramatically causing water retention, you're going to lose a ton of weight. Be lucky to keep even half of this.
I have taken Deca previously in off season, but never D-ball and Deca. So I'm curious how this is going to work. And that's obviously all depending on my blood work.
And so he's not going into the details of the dosages, but one thing you should keep in mind is every year bodybuilders typically increase the doses. If you first took 300 milligrams of a product and you continue to take 300 year after year, it's not going to be nearly as effective as the first time you took it. And so unfortunately, people often up the doses year after year, and the greater the dose, the greater the side effects. And so I caution anyone, if you ever take these things and you make amazing gains, don't think that by doubling the dose, you're going to double the results. Oftentimes you double, triple the dose, and you don't experience nearly the gains you made on your first cycle.
We want to see exactly what things look like now. If things need to be tweaked, if you need to enter a health phase, we do that because that is what matters for the longevity.
And one thing I should caution you, or especially Anthony, as he's had trouble with eating enough food, when you add in orals, especially in higher doses, it can dramatically decrease your appetite. You take things like Anadrol, especially in high doses. Me personally, I couldn't handle it. When taking 100 milligrams of Anadrol, I simply would lose my appetite. I would eat, wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm throwing up. Every individual is different, and everyone can handle a certain dose. And so if you're adding in orals, which are liver toxic, they are not healthy to use for a long time, if ever. But if you are using them and notice your appetite's going down, likely because of the orals. And so my personal opinion on the cycle, well, obviously it's going to work. Test, Deca, D-ball, that's going to put on a ton of size. But remember, a lot of it's going to be water. It's certainly the opposite of a cycle that I would recommend. It's not something that I would like. I'm not a fan of a cycle like this, which is notorious for increasing blood pressure, causes you to hold on to a massive amount of water. And so you might think you put on a ton of size, but really it's a lot of water. And this comes at the expense of increased blood pressure. And so if you are taking something like this, be sure to go and check with your doctor, monitor your blood pressure, make sure it's not too high. And if it is, obviously change it. Cut out the D-ball, take something less water retentive. For example, Anavar. And for me, I hated Deca, I was never a fan of it. Cause Deca Cookbook was the one time where I took something where it affected me in the bedroom, did not like it whatsoever. For me, I much prefer something like EQ over Deca, which causes less water retention, less increase in blood pressure, allows you to look better. The gains that you're making are more likely to be gains that you can keep. And one supplement I would strongly encourage Anthony to take, GO2 Max, the main ingredient, NMN. I strongly encourage everyone to take it. Whether you're a bodybuilder or if you're doing cardio, even if you're not working out, it allows you to recover faster between sets, increased energy, you can burn more calories in less length of time, and not only that, it's been shown to decrease blood pressure, cholesterol, clearly can make you healthier, improve your mood. There are double-blind, placebo-controlled studies showing just how effective this really is in the real world. It's not the placebo effect, it's not just in mice. And so if you're interested in this, click the link in the description, 10% off, code Greg. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Like the video if you liked it, leave a comment, helps the algo. Watch one of the boobs. Don't forget the cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, phone consult. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IB Pro. And notice, HGLT supplements, you got that. Also, the HGLT clothing line, all available on my website. Click the link in the description. And until next time, I am out.